Muslims are the followers of the Islam religion, and globally there are more than 1.5 million Muslims. And most Muslims have nothing to do with the horrific affairs that are oftentimes associated with their religion and faith. In order to understand the Muslim culture, we must have a basic understanding of what guides Muslims. Today we'll look at what it means to be a Muslim, what does the Muslim culture look like, and how does the Muslim culture compare to our culture. We'll first start taking a look at what it means to be Muslims. Muslims believe in one God, or Allah, which is the Arabic word for God. They believe in the Prophet Muhammad as the last messenger of God. The Quran, which is similar to the Christian Bible, is a literal word of God as delivered through the Prophet Muhammad. The Quran is the primary source of every Muslim's faith and practice. And according to the Islamic Affairs Department of Saudi Arabia, the Quran deals with all subjects which concern us as human beings: wisdom, doctrine, worship, and law, but is the basic theme of this relationship that is between God and His creatures. It provides guidelines for a just society, proper human conduct, and equitable economic system. As it is the Islam religion that directs a Muslim's life, it is the 5 pillars of Islam which are the foundation of a Muslim's life. We'll start by taking a look at the first pillar of Islam, which is also the most important pillar, which is professing one's faith to God and the Prophet Muhammad. The second pillar is prayer, which is a direct link between God and an individual. There are no other links between God. There is no clergy that will form a better union between you and God. The third is giving support to others. Giving back to society is very important to the Muslim culture. Giving financially if you're able to do so. However, if you're not financially able to do so, it does call for giving your knowledge, giving your time, giving yourself to others to make life simply better for other people. The fourth pillar is fasting during the month of Ramadan. It is thought that giving up comforts allows one to grow within themselves. It's a time to reflect inward. So during this time, Muslims will give up food and water during the daytime hours to sort of have an opportunity to reflect inward. Also, there are some other activities that are also given up during this time. The fifth and final pillar is the annual pilgrimage to Mecca. Mecca is the birthplace of Islam, and if you are financially and physically able, you're to take this pilgrimage at least once in your lifetime. Now that we've looked at the foundation, we can see how this affects and influences the Muslim's culture. Muslims are prohibited from eating or consuming anything that would change or alter the mind. This means that there can be no mind-altering drugs. There is no alcohol that is allowed. There are also certain foods that cannot be eaten, and the biggest one would be pork. Muslims are not allowed to eat pork because the Quran says you cannot eat pork. There is also the fact that all meat that is eaten must be butchered and blessed in an Islamic way. There's no lying, there's no cheating, there's no oppressing, there's no sex outside of marriage. And when it does come to family, family is one of the most important parts of a Muslim's life. Oftentimes extended family live together, so there are not a lot of nursing homes, if any, in Muslim countries because families stay together. It's an obligation to take care of each other. When it comes to children, children often remain in the home until they're ready to be married. And when it does come to marriage, many marriages are arranged by parents simply because Muslims are not allowed to date prior to marriage. However, marriage is a mutual contract and neither party needs to marry just because the parents have arranged it. Women and girls are not forced into marriage as part of the Muslim culture. When it does come to other types of marriage, polygamy is allowed. However, most Muslim cultures do not accept it because the Quran says that a man must be able to treat all of his wives equally, and it is pretty well widely known that that is not something that can be easily done. As far as divorce is concerned, divorce is legal as a last resort, but again, it is not widely accepted or widely practiced. In the Muslim culture, women are allowed to work. They are also allowed to go to school to receive an education. And this is a big part of the Muslim culture, is that women are allowed to do these things outside of their family lives. Although women in this culture do cover their bodies from head to toe, it is more so as a sign of respect. And It's an act of modesty. They're not forced to do this, but the Quran does say that you are to dress modestly, and this does go for men as well. Many people think that the Muslim culture is a violent culture, which is totally opposite of what the Islam religion says. Muslims are to promote peace. However, like most cultures, there are people who are oppressed who don't have strong family ties. They're politically oppressed. There's society dysfunction. There is poverty. And when you put these things together, sometimes those types of behaviors do come to the forefront. But that is not unlike any other cultures that we see around the world. In conclusion, I think one of the biggest misconceptions about Muslims is that they're a violent culture who oppress women. And again, the truth of the matter is that Islam is a peaceful religion. Many countries do oppress women, and they do limit the rights of women. However, it is not the religion, but rather the practice of the culture of which these Muslims live. Male-dominated countries in the interpretation of the Islam religion are oftentimes the real issue at stake.